Hi, I'm Pete Leyden, the director of the New Politics Institute, which is a think tank and strategy center focusing on the transformation in politics due to the simultaneous transformations in technology, media, and the demographics of the country. Now, there's been an explosion of web video across the country, and it's been affecting the whole mediascape, but it's also affecting politics. And so what we're going to do here is break down the different categories of the kinds of things that are happening in politics on the web, and we'll kind of tee them up, give you a little flavor of that, and then make sense of all this craziness out there. To pull this off, we partnered with PoliticsTV.com. Both organizations thought through what are the categories that are emerging now as the key categories that are starting to affect politics. And what we did is we thought about why they're important, framed them up, and basically now I'm going to lay them out to you.
Political web video has been around since the 90s, but it was 3 videos in the past year that really put the medium on the map. The macaca video, the presidential announcement videos, and most recently, the 1984 mashup videos. So NPI and PoliticsTV.com thought the time was right for this video cheat sheet for those who haven't been following the space the way we have over the years.
We start with the granddaddy of them all. The way back in web history, back to 2004 when MoveOn did its visionary project of Bush in 30 seconds. This was an effort to get regular people to submit 30-second ads about President Bush. As it turned out, they got 1,500 of these ads, and they let their members then vote on the best ones, and the best ones rose to the top, and they got the top 10, the top one trying to get on national television, but that's a whole other story. What it did preface is this idea of just regular people using basic digital video tools and editing capability, putting up very, very high-quality, professional-looking videos, and then putting them on the web for everyone to see, not dependent on what's going to come on to broadcast television. This, again, is where it's all going, but it was 2 years ahead of its time. Take a look.
If elected, I'll lie about weapons of mass destruction as a pretext to invade another country.
I'll call myself an environmentalist, then gut clean air standards.
Our allies will go from respecting us to hating us, and I don't care. I'll leave no child behind, unless they can't afford it.
I promise to keep you in a state of fear and anxiety, so you never question what we're doing.
And if you do, we'll call you unpatriotic.
Come on.
Let's take the category of announcements, as in presidential announcements. We've watched even this cycle, a lot of presidential candidates make their announcement on the web. Why do they do it that way? Well, because they can say exactly what they want to say for as long as they want to say it. They don't have to go through the filter of the press. And in fact, they can have people watch it again and again and again as long as they want. And the kicker is the whole media has to still take that as a news event, take a snippet, and put it into their regular stories anyhow. Let's take a look at a couple of them.
As many of you know, over the last few months I've been thinking hard about my plans for 2008. Running for the presidency is a profound decision. A decision no one should make on the basis of media hype or personal ambition alone. And so before I committed myself and my family to this race, I wanted to be sure that this was right for us, and more importantly, right for the country.
I announced today that I'm forming a presidential exploratory committee. I'm not just starting a campaign, though. I'm beginning a conversation. So let the conversation begin. I have a feeling it's going to be very interesting.
Gotchas have been part of TV politics going back to the very first TV campaigns, but web video politics has taken it to a whole new level. Today's reality of cameras everywhere, even in cell phones, and free worldwide distribution via YouTube led Senator Barack Obama to say that running for president in 2007 and 2008 is a little like being on the show Survivor. From the Dean Scream to Macaca to the so-called Bush-Lieberman kiss, candidates would be smart to realize that anything they say and do can and will be used against them. So here are some of the most infamous gotcha web videos to date.
I believe that abortion should be safe and legal in this country. I have since the time that my mom took that position when she ran in 1970 as a U.S. Senate candidate. I believe that since Roe v. Wade has been the law for 20 years, that we should sustain and support it. And I sustain and support that law and the right of a woman to make that choice.
Maybe you could tell me what you think of this set.
I like that.
This may be the best of all. Oh, you dirty boy, you! Oh! Donald, I thought you were a gentleman.
My friends, we're going to run this campaign on positive, constructive ideas. This fellow here over here with the yellow shirt, Macaca, or whatever his name is, he's with my opponent. He's following us around everywhere. And it's just great. We're going to places all over Virginia. And he's having it on film, and it's great to have you here, and you show it to your opponent because he's never been there and probably will never come. So it's good for you. In the real world. So welcome. Let's give a welcome to Makaka here. Welcome to America and the real world of Virginia.
YouTube and web video has been called an opposition researcher's dream, and to some extent that's true. We saw that especially in the general election in 2004 with the Bush campaign, the DNC, and the Swift Boat veterans all using web video. But the story so far in 2007 has been Republicans using opposition research videos against other Republicans. One exception to the Republican on Republican dynamic here is therealmccain.com, where filmmaker Robert Greenwald has done a classic comparative ad on Senator McCain's inconsistent statements on Iraq and other issues and spliced them together. Here are some of those.
I promise to tell the truth always about my intentions and my beliefs.
The success will be fairly easy. I believe that we can win an overwhelming victory in a very short period of time. Easy. It was easy.
I knew it was probably going to be long and hard and tough, and those that voted for it and thought that somehow it was going to be some kind of an easy task, then I'm sorry they were mistaken.
Let's take a look at a category we'll call viral Hollywood. This is an example where you got Hollywood talent, like the actors, and you got Hollywood workers, the producers, directors, and film folks, come together to create a video that goes viral on the internet, in fact, goes into the general media sphere of traditional television as well. The classic of this one is Will Ferrell's impersonation of George Bush in the 2004 election on his White House West. People love that thing. They never once paid to put that on TV, but because it was so interesting and funny, it actually took off and went all over the place. Let's check it out.
I'm George W. Bush, and I approve this message. In fact, I think it is awesome. I'd like to bring to light a terrible thing that liberals are trying to do to you. They're trying to encourage people to vote. Oh my God. I mean, ever since this country was founded 1,000 years ago. So stick with Bushy and don't vote. And don't listen to liberals or Democrats or other Republicans that make fun of me or read the news or watch the news except for Fox. Thank you, and God bless.
The Video Blog, a regular video journal of a candidate on the campaign trail or speaking on the issues, was first used by Democrat Ben Chandler in his 2003 Kentucky campaign and was perhaps done best to date by the Bush-Cheney campaign in 2004. But this election, everybody's getting into the act.
One of the most important issues for students would be interest rates on loans, ensuring that everyone who wants an education is allowed to receive it.
By the way, I got an idea about something we ought to do about college tuition. Yeah, I call it College for Everyone.
I'm just excited because I'll be voting for the first time, and I'm pretty much really into Hillary, so.
I'm Hillary Clinton. I'm running for president, and I'm in it to win it.
In the political world, sometimes a political cartoon, just a little slice, if not even one panel, of a political cartoon can say as much as a long, elaborate, detailed speech. Well, the same thing happens on the web. There's a whole category of flash animation cartoons that are quite funny and quite powerful in politics. And again, flash is not really video in the same way of like real people being filmed, but in fact it's a technique, it's a software essentially that allows you to do cartoon-like things, animated, in the web environment. And so we've seen this happen in politics. The classic one was Jib Jab's famous Bush and Kerry going at it and singing, "This land is your land." Let's take a look at that.
You're a liberal sissy. You're a right-wing nut job. You're a pinko commie. You're dumb as a doorknob. Hey, you got that Botox. But I still won 3 Purple Hearts. This land belongs. This land belongs. This land belongs to you and me. Yeah. Oh, and Dick Cheney, too.
Well, it makes sense that one of the first things to migrate out of the web was essentially traditional television. And so what you started to see was clips from real television migrating onto the web. And there were some famous examples of Colbert's speech to the White House Press Club about that basically in past days would never made it out to the public, and in fact this way it slipped onto the web. There's other examples of that, of Lieberman's great kiss or embrace of George Bush, a thing that was caught in just normal TV, but because of the new infrastructure, the new ability to actually slip this out into a different environment, a viral environment, that's what really happened. So we'll take a look at a couple of those.
I stand by this man. I stand by this man because he stands for things. Not only for things, he stands on things. Things like aircraft carriers and rubble and recently flooded city squares. And that sends a strong message that no matter what happens to America, she will always rebound with the most powerfully staged photo ops in the world.
He could go all the way.
Here it comes, and there it goes.
Mojo! Big Mojo! Solo shot!
It would make sense that one of the first things to move onto the web would also be traditional 30-second television ads. And instead of waiting for some broadcast to kind of wash over you at your home television, what happened was these ads were actually put on the web, and people that when they had the interest, when they wanted to see it, or when it was virally passed from friend to friend to friend, family to family, you started to see it. Good example of that was Michael J. Fox's ad in support of stem cell research, which hit in Missouri, again a very small state that was basically circumscribed by the voters in that state. But that took on national significance when people all around the country watched that ad, and particularly Rush Limbaugh's mockery of it, which was also caught on video, also went on the web, and those things combined got national attention from people through the web and ultimately through the networks as well, who picked it up as a story in and of itself. Let's take a look.
As you might know, I care deeply about stem cell research. In Missouri, you can elect Claire McCaskill, who shares my hope for cures.
He is moving all around and shaking, and it's purely an act.
You know, a lot of people think of web video as a one-way channel. Somebody creates something and it's viewed by many, many, many people, granted virally through the web. But in fact, that same video infrastructure is a two-way street, and so you can actually do video conferencing, video chat. Now, this is starting to impact politics. For example, Senator Clinton was very, very innovative in this space, where right around her announcement, she started a kind of town hall meeting in a way where she videoed what she was saying, but actually was getting responses from people, granted not through video hooks, but basically through email, to actually respond to them in real time. Look for that, look for more of that, and also look for a video two-way interaction as Clinton and others actually can speak to people through video channels as well.
Hi everyone, and welcome to our first online web chat. You know, it's amazing how new technology can bring so many of us together. Let the conversation begin.
Our next question is from Carolyn in New York. Carolyn asks, where do you stand on the Iraq War?
If we had known everything that we now know, the President would never have asked for such authority, and the Congress would never have voted to give it to him, and I certainly would not have voted to do so.
How about the category events that live on? And now in political campaigns, a lot of times you spend a lot of energy getting people to gather in some local space, put you on your event with your candidate or whatever your organization is, and then hope to heck someone maybe passes it on through the normal media. Well, in fact, the web allows you to do a lot of new things with that. One, these events can grow far bigger than just the local audience that they're tailored for. So, for example, we saw good example of that of, speaking the presidential candidates down in Selma and civil rights talks that essentially were able to be viewed by hundreds of thousands, if not millions. The other thing about these things is after the event's over, these events can live on and on and on, because on the web, folks can come to it later and later and later, pass it around, and so a thing that might have taken an afternoon could last for months and months.
Every single American at this point understands we are actually less safe than we were before this war started. Al-Qaeda is recruiting more terrorists. Austin, it is time for us to bring this war to an end.
We came today to talk about what's happened with Elizabeth and what's happened with her health situation. But the bottom line is her cancer is back. We know that the key is to keep your head up and keep moving and be strong. We intend to do exactly that.
And then there's a category of, we'll call them web features. And these are, in web terms, longer pieces. They can be 2, 3, 5, longer, maybe 10 minutes long. These are things that have a lot more production values into them, much more complicated storylines, might be more like a feature filmish kind of idea, or in fact a more complex documentary. But they're nothing near the way full 2-hour documentaries, things you see in the movie screens as well. These are things that are starting to impact not just politics, but let's say social causes. One that comes to mind is Free Range Studios' version of taking a documentary view from the future, 2050, looking back on how we changed our energy situation and stopped climate change.
Today, it is impossible to imagine the magnitude of the climate crisis that faced humankind just 50 short years ago. The year 2005. A relentless campaign by oil and coal companies designed to raise doubts about the existence of climate change has finally failed. The world recognizes that the climate is changing and that humans are the cause. 2018. America's clean energy boom is in full swing. 1 in 3 new American jobs is in the clean energy sector. The world's largest economy goes from being the climate's worst enemy to being the driving force behind its salvation. Today, the worst fears of climate change are behind us, and it all began in 2006 when Americans joined forces and took action to create a sustainable, prosperous future.
But it really happened.
So that's our overview of how various categories of web video are really impacting on politics. This is something that you can keep looking at and learning about at the New Politics Institute website, where we have various pieces on this and a whole new series called Reimagining Video, how we really think through the new implications of how you use video in politics in this new political environment that's emerging today. You can see that at newpolitics.net. The other place to go is to politics.tv.com. They're our partners in putting together this new report on web video. You can go there. They actually have all the greatest hits. A lot of the greatest hits we saw here today. You can see them as they pile up, and they categorize them, archive them for the long term. Plus, they've got a new series now that every week they're going to be taking the top 10 political videos in these categories and putting it out for everybody. It's a great place to stay abreast of this rapidly changing world. Thank you.